Saturday vibes. Egg, ham, and spinach and avocado sandwich on a crouton. Crouton? No. What's it called? What? It's a croissant. It's a crouton. So today when I was taking a shower, this whole story came to me, and I obviously couldn't record when I was in the shower, so I got out and I wrote it all down. And once again, it's a two-sided page. So now I'm going to have to retell what I wrote down. So in 2013, I was newly single and I was heartbroken and I was still in love and obsessed with my ex. And my friend and I went on a trip, and we went to this giant forest with these really humongous trees. And I remember looking up at the sky and at the trees, and I just like prayed to God. And I remember praying that God gives me something new, because I was pretty tired of my job. I was bored and I didn't feel challenged, and I just also didn't feel fulfilled in my job anymore. And I just wanted like the next big thing for me. And I remember saying, I want to work for myself. I want to be self-employed. I want freedom to work when I want. I didn't want to work 9 to 5 anymore. And little did I know, when I got home from that trip, I found out I was pregnant. And my immediate reaction was to cry and call my mom. And I had like nothing saved up to raise a kid. So I completely just panicked and freaked out. And once I was able to process, right, it took me like a week or two to like process everything and figure out like what am I going to do. I just knew in my heart that I would have to keep the child and raise him on my own. I also like knew immediately that it was a boy. I didn't know how I was going to support myself, because I knew that my current job, like I wouldn't be able to afford daycare or anything like that. And I also didn't want anyone else raising my child, because I would be at work 8 hours plus 2 hour drive. I wouldn't see my own child for 10 hours a day. It just sounded so ridiculous to me. And I felt just very protective of him, even though I never desired to be a mom. And so I remember thinking like, God, this is not what I asked for, right? Like, this isn't what I meant when I said I'm going to work from home and all that stuff, because I quickly realized that would have to be what I would be doing, is I'm going to quit my full-time job, raise my son on my own from home, and somehow try to get work from home as well, because I wouldn't be able to go to work. I didn't know how I was going to provide for myself, but I just knew, like I knew this was a gift from God. The connection that I felt. Oh, crows are always showing up when I record. It's so crazy. It's so creepy. I hope you heard that. So I didn't know how I was going to support myself. So one thing was, I very, very quickly had a very strong connection with my baby, even though I was only like a few weeks pregnant. Like I just felt this very strong connection to him, this very strong bond, this very like telepathic, like I don't know how to explain it. I also felt a very strong protection around me when I was pregnant with him. Like I had some kind of spirit guides or angels or something. Like I couldn't describe it. For example, when I was 5 months pregnant, I had to fly to New York to a friend's wedding. And I was afraid of flying. And I still am afraid of flying. But so whenever I used to fly, I used to always have to drink wine during boarding, so that I would get tipsy enough to where the takeoff didn't bother me, because that's when I felt like we would crash, was during takeoff. And once we would take off and we would be in the air, I would be fine. And I remember getting on my flight and sitting down and like thinking like, I can't even drink. So the weirdest thing was that I had like no fear. I remember feeling so safe because he was with me. That's what I remember, just constantly feeling like he was the one protecting me, but I think it wasn't him, it was God protecting us. That's why I always felt like he was a gift from God, because if it was according to my plans, I would have probably never had children, because I'd be waiting for the perfect marriage, for the perfect time, for the perfect house, for the perfect career, and when you do that, you can miss out on a lot. So I'm just really like grateful that it happened. I remember after I gave birth, I was still like obsessing over my ex and like really wanted us to be a family, but he ended up ending things with me like for good after I gave birth, and I just remember it completely shattered me, and I hit like a new low level of depression. I was so depressed. I remember feeling like I was someone's garbage, like I was used and just thrown away. And I felt like nobody would ever want me now, because now I have a child with someone, and who's going to want me? And this went on for a couple months. And I just remember one day looking at my son, who was obviously a baby. And I remember him like, it was as if he was telling me something telepathically. And I remember him saying, why are you focusing on the negative and not focusing on the positive? And the positive is like, you have me, and I love you unconditionally, and I'll never leave you, and that's all that matters. Like, we have each other. Who cares if he doesn't want you? And I just remember like it really hitting me, like, why am I focusing on that breakup? And then it was like my depression just went away immediately, because I remember after that I finally felt happy again, and I just focused on being a mom and on the blessing that I had, because now I had this beautiful child in my life that I could feel like loved me so much. And that was like the first time I really felt true unconditional love, and he continued to show that to me for the past 11 years. Just the amount of love and compassion that he has for me. And he also gives me a lot of grace and forgiveness, because obviously, like, I'm not a perfect parent. I lose my temper and I get stressed out, and he's just always so loving and forgiving. And I always think like what my life would be like if I didn't have him, or if I chose what I wanted. Oh, well, this gets in the way of my career, or how am I going to support myself? And I would have just ended that if I would have taken that away. I can't even imagine. And so one of the things that I want to say is that, like, when God blesses you, when you pray to something, asking him for something, he knows better what you need. Like, you think you want a new job, because that's what I was praying for. I was praying for like a new job. But he knew better. He knew that a job wasn't going to fulfill me. It was this beautiful child that was going to fulfill me. And I just want to say, like, I mean, he gave me the hardest job that there is, one of the hardest jobs that there is. And the vision that I had to describe it to people is like, if you were to go like on a wheat field, and you had to like cut down the wheat and gather, I don't know the process of it, and then go get like milk and milk the cow and bring the buckets home and churn your butter after all those hours and hours of work, and then finally bake some fresh bread and put some butter on it, and you finally get to take a first bite. That satisfaction that you get, it's like so worth all that work. And that's kind of what it feels like to be a parent. It's definitely like not easy, it's stressful, but there's like nothing like it. The reward is just indescribable. And what people don't understand is like, you're not going to be like stuck with a baby forever. They grow up and they become adults and they go live their life. So I don't know why people think like it's so hard, like it feels like a life sentence, because that's how it felt to me at first. I kept forgetting that he was going to grow up and start helping me, and then eventually he's going to move out. I had to keep reminding myself that. And it really helped me get through those tough times when I was really stressed out and depleted, because now that he's 11, I miss all those days when he was a baby. I really do. And I wish it didn't fly by so fast, but it does. Another thing I want to say is that when God blesses you, he finds a way to provide for you. And I didn't know what was going to happen. My family was not happy about the fact that I said I'm going to quit my job. My family was very against it. They were panicking. But I just knew in my heart and my soul that that's what I had to do, and I don't regret it. It has not been easy. I accumulated debt as a result and a lot of other problems, which I'll probably talk about in the future. But I had people who were there for me. I moved in with my sister for a few years. My mom helped support me financially for years and years. And my son's dad helped support us for the last several years. He paid our rent. So people provided for us. And I know people want to take credit like, well, I helped you, I helped you. But I still believe that God enabled people to provide for us. He provided them with the jobs that they needed, and that He provided them with the desire to help us. That's just what I believe. Because when God wants you to do something or to have something, He's going to find a way for you to sustain it and to nurture it. So my mic died at the end of this video, and I have to now re-record. I realized it during editing, so now it's already like the next day. And it was just like the final recap of the video and the whole point of me making it. The whole point of that video was to trust God for your life. And when things happen unexpectedly, pray to Him. Surrender it to God and trust that He will provide for you. He will provide miracles. He will work through other people to help you. If you're really at a low point, I recommend going to a church, a good church. There's bad churches out there, so you have to have your discernment. Pray about it. Go find a good church, because the church community, they will literally help you with anything. They'll do anything to help their members. They'll pray for you, and their prayers are like legit. They are legit. Every time I've asked for prayers, I've seen miracles within 12 hours, sometimes 24 hours. And I'm going to do a video about it because some of it is just unbelievable. I just want to encourage you to not listen what the world says that we should be doing, and surrender your life to God. He knows better. And He has blessings for you. And you need to trust that He will bless you and that He'll take care of you as long as you lean on Him. Talk to God, pray to Him, read the Bible to get closer, and just wait and see what God does in your life. Stay blessed. See you next time.